check this out, guys. Toyota, I think, just dropped the mic with the unveiling of this, the Tacoma H2 Overlander concept. And Case, what do you think about it? How does it look?
Well, first things first, from the exterior looks very aggressive, but the most interesting thing about this, because we've seen off-road Tacomas before, is hinted at by the badge right there on the side.
All right, so hydrogen powered, but take that aside for a second, because it's got four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive capability, and approximately 547 horsepower, making it the most powerful Case Tacoma ever.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure someone out there has done something crazy aftermarket, but this is from Toyota themselves.
Yes.
And what's interesting here, because obviously Toyota has the Mirai, so they do have a hydrogen car that you could go out and buy.
Yes.
This Tacoma uses a Mirai fuel cell and 3 hydrogen tanks. And then there are electric motors front and rear that combine for that 547 horsepower.
Exactly.
And a limited slip in the front and a locker in the rear. So it's not just like they put this together as a display vehicle to look rugged.
No.
It actually has some running gear that would make it genuinely pretty capable.
Yeah, and they were talking in their press release about, lack of time, but dude, this looks finished, and it's also sitting on 35s, my friend.
Yeah, 35s, which is awesome to see on a Tacoma. And then they did some TRD, so Toyota specific long arm suspension parts, as well as Fox 2.5 shocks.
Dude, does this look like they were short on time? No.
That's an awesome little detail as well. And look, even on the skid plate, they did TRD in blue.
And H2.
Pretty cool.
So of course, I'm saying mic drop because this has some amazing specifications and a new power plant and just kind of exploring the possibility of it. So, dude, there's a couple of other specs that are just mind-boggling. And also, like you mentioned, this is a production-ready fuel cell technology, right? This is not science fiction.
That's true,
right?
Yeah. This is not something that they hacked together. The fuel cell is a full production unit. They've also got it completely kitted out as an Overlander, which makes sense given the name.
It's pretty sick, dude. And there's a couple of other elements that make this the Overlander. For example, power export capability. Look at the plug in the bed, dude. So this has 15 kilowatt, 15,000 watt output potential. Dude, you know us, right? We've seen, F-150 Lightnings with 7.2 kilowatt systems. We've seen Chevy Silverado EVs with like 10.2 systems.
Well, and when the Tundra Hybrid was coming around, we were hoping to see more power export, something to match or exceed the F-150.
It didn't have it.
This, on the other hand, they say you could actually simultaneously charge 2 EVs. You can basically use this whole truck as a mobile power station to power all kinds of stuff. So
yeah, and also
cool.
15 kilowatt, dude, that's more than enough power to run a house.
Yeah.
Anything. But also, it's more power than, you need to run like a cooler, cooking surfaces. But dude, there's another big benefit of a hydrogen fuel cell. Let's walk over here.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll notice white Rotopacks, you don't need the red ones.
Yes.
Because it is hydrogen.
The byproduct of a fuel cell, which is a chemical reaction, right? So you take hydrogen gas that you fill up with. By the way, I think,
they might not want us feeling that open.
The filler is in here.
Yeah.
We may not be able to open it right now. So you take hydrogen gas, right? You run it through the fuel cell. It takes the oxygen from the air, from the atmosphere. Then the byproducts are electricity, which it uses about a 24 kilowatt hour battery to store that electricity.
Yeah, they say 24.9, so almost 25.
Almost 25 kilowatt hours. It does not need a big battery because there's a lot of fuel cell capability in this truck. And then there's of course heat, so it has to cool itself down a little bit using a radiator, and also water. So water, they're working on a patent water filtration system that when you collect the water from the fuel cell system, so you could cook with it, wash dishes, take a shower. You could do a lot of things.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. We've tested the Mirai in the past, which was neat, and it didn't create a ton of water as a byproduct, so it might take a while for that water to actually build up enough for you to take a shower or wash a bunch of dishes. But on the inside, you can see, so they started out with a TRD Pro.
Yeah.
And a lot of that on the interior remains. I'm looking around to see if I see anything specific, but it seems like most of the focus on this was
Was
primarily on the powertrain.
Powertrain and the chassis of it too.
And the exterior.
Yeah.
We can point the camera underneath as well and show you a little bit of what's going on down here. Now, they've also got some electronics in place so they can be powering this to have all the lights on.
Yeah, for the show.
I'm not sure that box right there is
But look
something
at
that
this
actually
trailing
lives
arm,
there.
dude.
But no, the suspension components all really nicely done, and you can see high voltage cables going to the rear axle there.
Yeah.
And then fully skid plated underneath as well, which is really cool. Rock slider. And up top, I do see a very familiar logo, Go Fast Campers.
Exactly, which is one of our friends and partners of ours.
Yeah.
And of course, you have a Go Fast camper way up above it.
Yes, that's someone that we've worked with before, but coming around the side, they've done a couple cool things to this. So they mentioned they use a lot of materials that are environmentally friendly as well. So
Thanks, Chloe.
like some recycled carbon. Check out the sides on this. They even integrated these rigid lights into the sides of the camper really nicely, as well as these traction boards.
Yeah.
So how cool is that?
There's many other journalists here.
Yeah, we're trying to stay out of their way, but it's a little bit of a frenzy filming all of this.
Dude, so there's only one downside to this, right? Where do you get hydrogen gas?
Yeah, exactly. So there's not tons of stations all around the country. There's some in California and a few other places. But the other thing that we don't know, so this would have the perk of being able to refuel very quickly, but the other thing that we don't know is what would be the range on this vehicle.
Exactly.
You know, that's not something.
And this is why it's still a concept, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if a lot of you guys and gals really like the concept of this vehicle, and dude, I also went to a Toyota R&D facility in Southern California. They have semi-trucks that run at the port of Long Beach on hydrogen. Also down here, you see the Fox shocks that they're using here with a pretty heavy-duty suspension. So they have fueling stations in California, right?
Yeah.
But like in Colorado where we're at, there's not really publicly available hydrogen station anywhere.
Exactly, and that's the case for the majority of the country. You never know, that could change over time. Building out that infrastructure would be a challenge for sure. But, this is cool
look,
as
that's
well,
blue.
little detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for the people that pay attention to those kind of things, that's a nice little detail, a good touch. So, of everything that we've seen on the interior, that's maybe the only one that I've noticed that's specific to what this vehicle is. But the amount of detail and attention to detail they've put into this is so impressive. You know, when an OEM flexes their muscles to build something cool, it's way different than like
you and I doing it.
Yeah, when you and I engine swap stuff in our garages, right? That's no surprise, but man, it's just cool to see. Also a pretty massive light bar up at the top here that seems to have some blue in it. I don't think that's just a reflection. So
nice touches, stuff. Nice design touches too.
Yeah, really nice.
So a couple of things we don't know, Case, right? Like you said, like range, how much does this truck weigh? It's sitting on 35s and a pretty heavy duty suspension. We also don't know like if it will tow, how much it will tow, right? How much payload does it have? But I think the technology, and actually in the press release, Toyota also said this is core to their future thinking, right? So I can see like 5 years down the line, we might see Tacomas running around on hydrogen everywhere.
Yeah, well, and for an overlander, once again, I can see where their heads are at, especially because this vehicle and its powertrain lends it to being good for basically acting as a mobile power station.
Yeah.
And as an overlander, that is something that's useful. You're powering a lot of equipment when you're setting up wherever it is that you're going. So,
and not
really
just
cool.
for overlanding, job sites, anything, any use case you can think of, this can work for.
Fingers crossed, this means that they want to put at least some more power output on some of their hybrid models to at least match the competition, because that would be a nice thing. It's a genuinely very useful feature.
Yeah, and of course they didn't say like when it's coming on sale, anything like that. So this is just right now a prototype concept.
Exactly.
Yeah, and of course we don't know, we have any idea on price. Although Mirai is on sale, but is it lease only, right? I mean, you can't really.
I want to say you can buy them, but they depreciate very quickly.
Yeah,
so you can buy them used for next to nothing.
Yes, because once again, there is not the hydrogen infrastructure.
Very limited use case, yeah.
But in the future, 5 to 10 years in the future, I mean, Toyota has it set.
Absolutely. So this is just a really cool initial concept. We're doing a lot of videos with some other very neat Toyota concepts that are here at SEMA, as well as concepts from a bunch of different brands. So make sure to follow all of our SEMA coverage that's coming out this week.
Exactly, oldtfl.com. Also, Roman is here, so we'll do many more videos this week. So please come back, oldtfl.com or tfltruck.com and tflcar.com as well. We're also going to do some podcasts here, so stay tuned for that. Thank you.